Hey, Saints fans and Hootats from all over the world. This is Kyle T. Mosley here on a Sunday afternoon with COVID Bob. We got COVID Bob with his Saints mask on. What's going on, Bob Rose?
Not much, Kyle Mosley. I hope you and your family are doing well, and happy Sunday to everybody out there. And thank you so much for tuning in on a special broadcast. And folks, and we'll talk about this during the show, I'm sure a little bit. Wear your masks. Wear your masks. Wear your masks. Wear your masks. Be safe.
Yeah, definitely. Well, guys, like you said, happy Sunday, special broadcast. We got a couple of things to kind of line out and talk to you guys about the Saints headed into training camp, rookie camp. We shall see. But we'll talk a little bit about that. But first off, Bob, the last thing we were just talking about before going on the air, Mr. Drew Brees has shown his face and cropped up and said some newsworthy things for us to discuss. He blasted the NFL for I would say his perceived lack of unwillingness to listen to the medical experts when it comes to handling the players and the players' safety amid the pandemic and headed into training camp. What are your thoughts?
And thank you, Drew, if you're tuning in to give us something to talk about to enter the show. And we have seen a large number of NFL players quickly echo Brees' Twitter sentiment. Look, these NFL players, you do respect what they're going through, and I can't imagine being in their shoes about to step onto the field once again for the 2020 season. We hope. You have to be concerned about their safety. As far as what Drew said, though, about the NFL not listening to the medical experts, what are the medical experts really saying or not saying that the NFL isn't listening to? And for that, you kind of have to look at the whole scope of society right now. As you know, Kyle, and we talked about it on the show and privately, certainly several times, most of the country reopened itself about a little over a month ago. And I was very vocal then, and I'll continue to be vocal. In my opinion then and now was that it was too early to be doing that kind of thing. And now that we're depending on your perspective of it, we're either on the early stages of phase 2 of this virus or a second stage of this virus, or still in stage 1 and it didn't really die down. And yet these places were opening up. Why? The bottom line is, and this is what the NFL is looking at, it's the almighty dollar. That's why most of the country opened up. It had nothing to do with safety. Let's be realistic here. They were afraid for the economy. Now, I hope that the NFL as an organization and individually are concerned about their players' safety, spectators and coaches' safety as well. But you do have to wonder what the next step is going to be, what the players, if anything, are going to do about, now they're faced with, do I report to training camp? Do I not report to training camp? And how the NFL teams individually, on a team-by-team basis, are going to handle this. It's certainly a frightening time. I've said all along that I do believe that there will be an NFL season. I mean, after all, the NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL are opening back up as we speak within the next week or so, on about the same timetable as the NFL training camps are officially scheduled to open. I hope that all of these organizations are going to proceed with caution and that it's the right thing to do. Because I'm a sports fan first and foremost, and I want sports back, but not at the expense of the safety of myself, my family, my friends, and certainly the players that are on the field.
Right. Especially me as media, too, being in the press.
Both of us, right.
Right. Me, John, man, look, I have expressed concern about that, but those are just some of the things that I would say are going to be a part of the new norm on how we handle ourselves in this current climate with COVID-19. I don't think Well, my personal beliefs aside, it doesn't appear COVID-19 is going to be going away anytime soon. Okay. All right. So let me read exactly what Drew Brees said. We need football. We need sports. We need hope. The NFL's unwillingness to follow the recommendations of their own medical experts will prevent that. Stop. If the NFL does not do their part to keep players healthy, there is no football in 2020. It's that simple. Get it done, NFL. Interesting. And like you said, since then, we've had a number of NFL stars to become vocal about what happened. Other than Drew Brees, there's Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Tyrann Mathieu, let's see here, Stephon Diggs, Richard Sherman, Todd Gurley, and Aaron Donald. We'll talk a little bit about some of their comments later, but one that really concerned me was Russell Wilson, which has a pretty valid concern, knowing that his wife Ciara is currently pregnant. He said, "I am concerned. My wife is pregnant. Training camp is about to start, and there's no clear plan on player health and player and family safety. We want to play football, but we also want to protect our loved ones." And that's kind of echoing exactly what Malcolm Jenkins said a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah, it most certainly is. And again, these players, we sometimes forget that they're a lot more than a football helmet, shoulder pads, and tremendous athletic ability. They are people. They are human beings. They are sons, fathers, husbands, and just like you and I, for instance, Kyle, or any one of us out there. We have a lot more to be concerned about than just our own personal safety. If I expose myself to a situation where I could possibly contract COVID-19 or anything else harmful for that matter, I not only have myself to worry about, but I'm walking back into a home with a fiance, 3 kids, including one small. And if I go to visit my parents, they're elderly, so certainly in the high risk category. Sorry, mom and dad, for calling it elderly.
Hey, I'm right there with them.
But it is that kind of thing, and I certainly. But again, I go back to what has the NFL said or not said, that has the players fired up about the league not following recommendations. What exactly are the recommendations? We don't really know.
Right. And let's see. I'm going to try to go to that tweet that J.J. Watt had on yesterday, or was it a couple of days ago, about what he knew about some of the recommendations. But let me talk about what I know already about some of the recommendations. The recommendations are basically that the players kind of quarantine themselves. All right. It's almost like on an honor system, right? Making sure that the testing is going to take place, number one, before headed into training camp, making sure that everybody is properly tested on a day-to-day basis, if I'm not mistaken, because think about it. We just don't know how this virus can be able to come in. They're talking about the new protective shield that they have put in place with Oakley, as well as the mouth guard or mouth shield, I should say, that will prevent droplets from coming inside of the helmets. Well, I got to say this, Bob. I think that's a novel approach, but I don't see it actually being truly applicable in this situation. Okay. And my scientific background tells me that we talk about microorganism, right? And a piece of plastic and a shield preventing droplets coming in from this way, we still have to think about through the nose, right? And that's where exactly, that's another off. People don't realize this is the orifice, right? And things can happen. So I don't really know if the NFL understands the complexity or if it's a willing ignorance of the complexity, right? Guys, let's be frank. What powers the world? The almighty dollar. And NFL owners risk to lose over $5 billion in total revenue if the NFL season does not start and does not complete as well. So we're not just talking about the NFL losing potential revenue. We're talking about auxiliary businesses also losing revenue. The concessions, the bars, the entertainment venues, right? The hotels, the tourism. This is a trickle-down effect that creates many different difficulties as far as where we are economically in this world anyway, right? Right now, we're talking about going on, what, month 4.5, right?
Going into 5, yeah.
Yeah, and we're talking about a situation where if we don't have a way to come out of this economically and regain our foothold economically in the United States as well as the world, right? We're going to have some difficulties for the next couple of years, and we're going to be running up the hill, so to speak, right? So let's see. Glenn Laurie, he has a comment. Happy Sunday, Glenn, to you. The NFL needs to have some kind of bubble like the NBA for at least during the training camp and exhibition games. How they do this, I don't know. Good point. Look, I think the NFL missed their opportunity, their window of opportunity last month. Let me tell you why. This is just my personal opinion. Now, I think I expressed this to you once before as well, Bob. I think last month should have been them starting quarantining their own players last month. All right, we're in July. Let's say beginning of June, they should have started quarantining their own players. Okay? Why wait until the dawn of training, a rookie camp, not training camp, just rookie camp? Would you start putting some of these measures into place and start releasing the press releases and some of the protocols that you would have? That's the concern I have there, man. And I just think they waited too late. You know, I think it was more, let's see what everyone else does. I wonder what they're doing. Oh, maybe we could do this. No, man, I think they should have. You have more employees than those other entities. So you have more working pieces that you needed to try to corral and get into position in order for you to work out how these other efforts would be effective for your organization, or work out the bugs and give yourself some time to do so. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that philosophy. And I agreed with you at the time, too. I don't know if I'd have gone as far back as a month, but certainly 2 to 3 weeks, where the first thing that they could have done was test all the incoming players and coaches. So that way you know what you're dealing with before they step foot into the facility. And obviously, if anybody tests positive, you stay away, you get your medical treatment, whatever is available, and you don't come back until you test negative. So that way, everybody that steps into the facility, right off of the bat, whether they're walking in or that they will be walking in with a clean bill of health. And then, like you said, you quarantine yourself at that point. I think, and just about every man, woman, and child that I've talked to about this agrees that training camp should be, as much as we hate it, training camp should be spectator free. They should certainly approach the preseason, the exhibition games, if they go on as scheduled. For the two remaining, they should certainly approach that spectator free. Again, as much as we hate that, while they experiment with the Oakley shields and the face coverings and everything like that. And I don't know that daily testing, for these people, for the players, coaches, is realistic. But I certainly believe that you could pull it off a couple of times a week, because, hey, realistically, the way it stands now, anyway, if my understanding is correct, it takes a minimum of 3 days and usually 5 days to get your COVID test results back. So to test every day, you still don't know what you're going to be dealing with in the next 3 or 4 days after that. So if you test these players a couple of times a week, and I've said this about society in general too, the retail establishments and restaurants, before they open back up, all of their employees should have been tested, free of charge to the employee, by the way. So that way, before you open back up, are your employees coming in with a clean bill of health? And if they're not, they don't come back in. Otherwise, you're looking at what we're looking at right now is potentially a far worse scenario in phase 2. So you're right. The NFL did operate with into a little bit of a head in the sand approach. Not that they were ignoring concerns, but almost that they were turning, like you said, a blind eye to it. And maybe this stuff will go away before we have to go into training camp. Because we basically shut down the offseason, which was the right thing to do. But now you're staring training camp openings in the face, and you have no concrete plan involved. And that's what the players should be most upset about.
No concrete plan and lack of action. It was a lot of inaction, a lot of talk behind the scenes. NFLPA as well as the NFL. I know the NFLPA talked about workers' comp. What if a player did contract COVID during the season? How is that going to play out? I believe the NFL came back. The player will be on IR for at least 3 weeks. I don't know if that's enough time, man. I think they need to expand the rosters. There was little to none of the discussions more on that. I think it's just been a complete. I hate to be a negative ninny about this, man, but I just think this was not as proactive as I thought the NFL would have been. The NBA has been pretty proactive on their end, and I think somewhat with the MLB, but I thought the NFL was going to be a little bit more proactive.
Yeah, I did too, because they really were encouraging at the start of their offseason, the NFL was, in instantly eliminating, they brought in their scouts, each team's scouts off of the road, just prior to free agency. They halted any kind of free agent or pre-draft visits. They did what they did with the draft, and they shut down all kinds of, all OTAs and everything like that. That was as scary as that was the right thing to do. So they entered the offseason with some encouraging signs, but like you said, Kyle, they never expounded on that. Instead, they give us stuff like, okay, NFL players, after being in close contact with each other for 3 to 4 hours during a game, we're not going to allow you to shake hands or exchange jerseys after the game for safety's sake. Come on. You got to do something better than that. I mean, we laugh about it, and it is a hypocritical joke. But we're talking about the safety of men, women that are involved in the organizations, husbands, fathers, children that affect other families. You have to use your head, and you have to keep everybody safe. You have to do your part to keep everybody safe.
It's ludicrous. I'm sorry. That I have to say it. That's crazy. Okay. I want you, Bob. Go out there, tackle that guy. Be in your friend, your opponent's face. Be on your sidelines in your teammates' face. You guys handshake and rah and tackle that guy and don't let him get another inch. But you can't exchange a jersey. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want you to exchange your jersey. Please
Because we care about your safety.
Yeah, I got to think about your safety. I'm really concerned about you. I really care. Come on, man. Come on. Oh, I mean, some things, Bob, is like Denzel Washington in A Devil in the Blue Dress said it best. I don't have to have some. I don't. It's like somebody peeing on my head and telling me it's raining. Come on. You know the difference. And you know this does not make any sense. So whoever wrote that, I don't know if it's somebody in some back office somewhere not realizing what's the essence of the game. It just didn't make any sense. All right. Any last thoughts about Drew Brees before we go on to talk a little bit more about the New Orleans Saints and what's going to happen?
No, I mean, yeah, I think we both said it, pretty well, pretty succinctly. We understand the players' concerns, and we hope that their league, steps up and and does the right thing to protect them. Otherwise, these players are right. We'll get 2 or 3 weeks into a training camp, into the training camp, or even into the season, and then is going to be a worst case scenario that we don't even want to wrap our minds around right now.
Yeah. Tyrann Mathieu of the Kansas City Chiefs, New Orleans born and raised. Listen to your players. We want to play. Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl MVP and former MVP of the league, getting ready to report this week, hoping the NFL will come to an agreement with a safe and right protocols so we will feel protected playing the sport we love. Let's see. Richard Sherman. Let's see what Richard Sherman said. The NFL has ignored the safety recommendations from the experts that they hired. And he capitalized that they. We all love this game and want to go out and compete with our brothers. The NFL needs to provide a safe work environment for us to do that. And that's a good point right there, the safe work environment. So are these players going to sign waivers if they play?
And that's a great question. That's crossed my mind. And again, I'd like to address what a couple of the players had said in their tweets or statements about ignoring the safety recommendations. Again, we don't know that they have, because we just flat out haven't heard any safety recommendations. But in regards to providing a safe work environment, all of us strive for that right now. Kyle, I know you're back to work. Me, I'm not yet. Just still working from home for Sports Illustrated, thankfully, and the Saints News Network. But I'm not back to my other job yet. Nor am I in any rush to go back, because frankly, I don't believe that it's safe enough for me to step in. So will the players be asked to sign waivers, and if so, would they be willing to do so? That has to be a question that needed to be asked weeks ago, not days before you start to bring in your rookies, as you pointed out, just a moment ago, Kyle. And if the NFLPA or the league council isn't going to bring up that proposal, then the players as a whole need to do it, more than just tweets.
Well, it's my understanding they have been getting communication directly from the NFLPA for the past several weeks. Every time there's a major, or I guess keeping them in the loop, so to speak, has been what they have been striving for. So they've done a pretty good job, but it's just that it's been limited as far as the progress is concerned. All right, Bobo. Workers' comp, you got to think about that. That's a good point. Okay. All right. So, Bob, talk to me about the NFL. What's going on right now? We had Madden ratings to come out, man, and it's been maddening with these ratings, so to speak. A couple of bright spots: the New Orleans Saints as a team was rated 85 overall by EA Sports for Madden 21. That was the top rank of any team in the National Football League. Also, we had Michael Thomas, who became a part of the 99 Club for Madden. His rating at 99 for the wide receiver position. There was also Christian McCaffrey, Aaron Donald. Who else? Was Mahomes?
I think Mahomes too. Yeah,
Mahomes was one as well, and I forgot who else. But anyway, we had two guys from the NFC South with McCaffrey as well as Michael Thomas. And our own Michael Thomas was honored, but EA Sports threw some shade at him as well, man. Did you see that?
I missed it. No, I apologize.
Yeah, EA Sports that said, we knew if we did not give him a 99, he would be crying. I was like, wow. Now, how does that look for credibility for your game, right?
Yeah, there's a stigma about Michael Thomas that's been out there now for a couple months, and really unfair. The man is vocal on social media in particular, and has a very strong opinion. Michael Thomas does about his own abilities and how they compare to the abilities of his respected contemporaries. There's nothing wrong, with anything that Michael Thomas has said. He is just showing confidence in his abilities. He's certainly not a crybaby or indicated any sort of those traits to me. But basically, the people, the haters that come out against Michael Thomas or players like that, it's just that and if you delve a little bit deeper into the people that are making the negative comments towards Michael Thomas or anybody else, I'll bet you any amount of money that they're fans of a rival of the New Orleans Saints or a rival player, individual player of Michael Thomas.
Yeah, well, you look at what our fellow compadres for the Falcon Report for SI came out with. William, Brandon, and those guys were throwing some shade early. I had to be able to squash it. They were talking about Michael Thomas and the slant routes. Now, I do want to talk about that one point because this is a football point. When I think it was Pro Football Focus did an analysis of his routes, only 30 to 31% of his routes were slants. And they did an analysis of Julio Jones, and I think his was comparable. Yeah. So my whole deal is this. I don't care if a guy runs a slant route or in and out or post or whatever. You still got to catch the ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I looked at the numbers correctly, Devontae Parker and as well as Julio Jones, they dropped some balls. So what's your thoughts there, Bob?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with what you're saying. And yeah, it does seem like Michael Thomas runs a lot of slant routes. But when you're as unstoppable as he is in that pattern, hell, I would have him run it every single time. And yes, he does catch the pass. The passes. There is no better receiver in traffic in the NFL today. You see Thomas bringing in those throws from Drew Brees or for a time last year Teddy Bridgewater, and he was doing so with 2 and 3 defenders hanging all over him. Forget a flag coming. For a minute. That's another story for another time. Defenses, especially without another threat that the Saints had at wide receiver for the last 2 to 3 years. The defenses would absolutely stack their coverage against Michael Thomas. They knew what was coming, and they still couldn't stop it. That's the mark of a great wide receiver, of a great football player. And Thomas does a lot more than just run slants. He is deadly on those quick wide receiver outside hitches that they like to throw. He runs a beautiful sideline route and has tremendous body control and underrated athleticism, where if a cornerback or a defensive back creeps up too much on him and falls for a double move, Michael Thomas is going to beat you deep and take it to the house. He's the best wide receiver in the NFL today, and it's not really even close. No disrespect. There's a lot of great receivers out there. But Michael Thomas is right now, and for the last two years, has been heads and shoulders above them all. So say what you will about the slant routes, you can't stop it. You can't stop anything that can't guard Mike does. So good luck in 2020, because he's going to continue to prove the doubters wrong.
Yeah, and it looks like he has beefed up a little bit and strengthened up a little bit as well. Look, Pro Football Focus, since 2017, Michael Thomas is number one, DeAndre Hopkins, Julio Jones, as well as Tyreek Hill rounding out that four. Those guys have been the most valuable wide receivers in the league. If you compare Julio Jones's best season in 2015 to Michael Thomas's, Jones had 136 catches, 1,871 yards, and 8 TDs. Michael Thomas had 149 catches, 1,725 yards, and 9 TDs. So, I mean, I don't see much of a difference other than Michael Thomas still catches the ball more at a higher rate than Julio Jones, right? Yeah. That was, and we're talking about years ago. We're talking about 5 seasons ago. That was Julio Jones at his best, So
I had it in my wide receiver piece this morning. I did. If you folks haven't read it. This morning, through the Saints News Network, I made a wide receiver comparison of the top two wideouts on each of the NFC South teams. Over the last 3 years, Michael Thomas has caught over 80% of his targets. That is an amazing percentage. What I should have done in the article, as I was comparing players like Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, DJ Moore, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, all tremendous receivers in their own right, don't get me wrong. I included targets and receptions over each of the last 2 years. I didn't go that extra step and calculate the percentage, but you folks with a calculator at home, feel free to do so. I promise you, nobody is anywhere near the 82%, 82.5%, I think it is, that Michael Thomas has brought in. And we're not talking about a guy that gets targeted 2 and 3, 4 times a game. We're talking a guy that gets targeted 12 and 15 times every single week, and he's pulling in 80% of those with 2 and 3 defenders wrapped all over him.
And that's the amazing part right there, Bob. The guys that are on him, and he's still able to make the plays, right? And we talk about, guys need to be able to create separation. Well, he doesn't need that much separation, and he's still effective, right?
Yep. Yeah, no, he doesn't. He's the most. Yeah, he's not gonna be an Olympic gold medalist sprinter or anything like that, but he will prove. And young players or parents with young football players at home, you want to teach your son or daughter how to run a pass route, you turn on the tape of Michael Thomas. He is the best route runner in the NFL today. He creates the separation, not just through double moves, but sharp, precise breaks. And he has done so ever since his career at Ohio State, where he didn't have a lot of great coaching at the position. He just works very hard at his craft, and he is just he's a natural football player. It's pure and simple.
Right. I don't know if you can see this graphic I just put up on Thomas. 1,425 yards were gained without a slant route. And that led the National Football League. 80.55 catch rate percentage led the Football League again. 580 yards after the catch. 42 receptions of 15 yards or more, and do not lead in slant receptions. Okay. All right. Anyway, bottom line, it's a myth when people keep talking about the slants. Bottom line, right? All right. Talk to me about the running backs in the league in the NFC South. You know, we have Christian McCaffrey over at the Panthers. What do they call him? CMAC, run CMC, right? I love that. Run CMC. And now over in Atlanta, Ito is the guy, so to speak. But you have arthritic knee guy in Gurley who has come into the NFC South. Down in Tampa, you have a couple of guys as well. Talk about the guys that we don't know, like for the Falcons and for the Buccaneers.
Well, like you said, we'll start with Atlanta. Atlanta parted ways with Saints killer Devontae Freeman in the offseason. And I, for one, was happy to see him go. As a Saints fan, he's killed us for years. But the Saints had, or not the Saints, excuse me, the Falcons had massive drop in run game production over those last 2 years, which led them to the decision to basically swap Freeman out for what looks like a broken down Todd Gurley, who the Rams parted ways with in the offseason. Now, Gurley, between 2015 and 2018, was probably pretty much definitely the NFL's most productive back. But over the last year and a half to 2 years, he has arthritic knees, like you pointed out, a little bit of a hip problem. So one has to wonder how much Gurley has left in the tank. Atlanta's number 2 back, or other running back, like you said, they might go into the season with Ito Smith as the starter. Ito is a power back, really impressive running back when he's on the field. He has a nice burst in the open field, and he really packs a pop between the tackles. What Ito Smith's problem has been is staying healthy. The Atlanta has yet to get a full year from him. I don't think they've gotten any more than a half year from him in each of the 2 years.
You're right. I think he did 8 or 9 games. That was it. So,
if Ito stays healthy, Atlanta's got themselves a good running back situation, because he's the kind of guy where you can limit your touches with Gurley and maximize what he still has left in the tank. But a lot of question marks there for Atlanta between Gurley's health and Ito's ability to stay healthy. Both of those are going to have to be big questions. Otherwise, the Falcons are just going to have to rely on outscoring people with Matt Ryan and those 2 great receivers they have again, with a questionable offensive line. And how are you going to protect Ryan when you're one-dimensional? Atlanta has a lot of questions.
Well, you mean the self-proclaimed best quarterback in the NFC South can't handle it all by himself?
Well, clearly Matt's already taken too many hits to the head if he truly believes that. No disrespect to anybody's opinion, but come on.
Look, man, did you see Cam Jordan? Cam was giving an interview. You gotta love Cam Jordan, man. Cam was like, we're not gonna be playing with the fans. It's probably no different than how we play with Atlanta anyway. We have to ask them how to do it. Man, I loved it. I love it, man. But anyway, go on, talk about the rest of these guys.
Like you said, what Carolina has, and I call him Little Mac because I grew up watching his dad, Ed McCaffrey, star for the Broncos and Giants. But Christian McCaffrey is one of the preeminent offensive weapons in the NFL. I personally will still take Alvin Kamara's skill set. But my God, what McCaffrey means to that offense, it is just they don't have a number 2 running back because they don't need one.
Right. So let me ask you this question. Let's say Alvin was in that same situation. Would we have been seeing those same numbers or better numbers from him if he was in that same situation last season your star quarterback goes down. You're the main man. You are the offense for the team. Do you think Alvin would have capitalized more on the ability with his skill set more than Christian? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Alvin's numbers actually would have been better. Because again, no disrespect. Go ahead.
Okay, so you think it would have been better. So now we have Alvin needing a new contract, right? So league at the same time, Alvin, of course, got the Rookie of the Year honors before Christian was able to notch his All-Pro honors, right? Alvin has 3 Pro Bowls under his belt. Christian, a couple, right? So what do you do if you are Mickey Loomis and Kai Harley? What do you do?
Well, I think the first thing you got to do is hope that Alvin Kamara and his agent and representation are watching what just happened with Derrick Henry and the Tennessee Titans, because that is Henry signed a 4-year, $50 million deal, with the Titans just a couple of days ago, which is about, on average, about almost $4 million, $3 or $4 million less than what what McCaffrey got from the Panthers early in the offseason, which on it, as you know, Kyle, had all of us starting to chew our fingernails. I think a deal for Alvin Kamara in and around $12 to $13 million a season on average, I think would be doable for the Saints. And we had this conversation on our show a few weeks ago too, and also at the roundtable in John Hendrick's article about Kamara. I personally believe that around $16 million a year, which would be the cap for Kamara and make him the highest paid NFL back, superseding McCaffrey. That's probably what his representation is going to be looking for. And why wouldn't they? If we're sitting here talking like Alvin Kamara has the best skill set of any running back in the NFL, then he should rightfully seek the highest running back money. It's going to be an interesting negotiating period of time between Loomis, that Saints front office, Alvin Kamara, and his representation. I hope that that he would be willing to accept a deal somewhere in the Derrick Henry range of 12 to 13 million, with the sticking point always being guaranteed money with these fellas too.
Right.
Because I think 16 or 17 million a year for Kamara, as much as the Saints love him and as much as they realize how much he means to their offense, I think that they probably step away from the table at that point.
Here's the problem. Here's the major concern. The Saints going into 2021 already are number 2 in the league behind the Eagles with the most cap allocations.
Yeah.
Right? Is it 250 mil? 250 mil.
Something like that.
And the cap is nowhere near that. I mean, the cap is way below that.
Yeah.
So what you gonna do? Start cutting everybody? And restructuring deals here, restructuring deals there? Or is it where we at? Are we at a point now? Here's my question to you, Bob. Really, are we at a point now where if the New Orleans Saints do not capitalize with Drew Brees being under center, that this could be a total restructuring of this team in 2021?
Wow, and that's a great question. I do not believe that will be the case, assuming that Sean Payton is still going to be the head coach of this organization, and there's no reason to believe that he's going anywhere.
Yeah. Right.
Payton loves what he has in that locker room. He has said so many, many times, and the team's activity in the draft and in the free agent market shows that Payton is true to his word about loving this team, because we haven't seen a great deal of personnel change. As far as the money already allocated for 2021, you and I know that while that's an obstacle to work around, this team and most NFL teams can easily work around that. You have players such as Marshawn Lattimore and Ryan Ramczyk, who, yes, they had their fifth-year options picked up, but if they play under that fifth-year contract in 2021, each of their salary cap numbers escalate by 10 to 12 million apiece. So if you can get deals done with them in the interim before that hits, you can save some money there. Not only that, but lock up 2 all-pros, for the extended future. You have recently signed deals like Michael Thomas, like Teron Armstead, like Cam Jordan, where you can restructure and push some of that bonus back a couple years. We see that Mickey Loomis in the front office do this kind of thing every year. Drew Brees' contract is going to be tricky to work around, especially if he retires, as most of us presume that he will. But you can juggle that, and remember that your next quarterback, if he comes through the draft, or if he ends up being a Jameis Winston, that you sign, this isn't going to be a $30 to $35 million a year guy. So that's going to help your salary cap too. And they're going to need to explore every single one of those doorways, because you do have not only Kamara, but Demario Davis, Marcus Williams, and a handful of others, star players that have meant so much to the Saints' success. All of their contracts are going to come due too. Are we going to see a few of those stars walk simply because the Saints can't afford them, and they're going to have to look into less expensive options? Yeah, that is definitely going to be the case. But it's not like I don't think we're going to be looking at wholesale changes unless this team bottoms out, and it gives us like a 5-11 or a 6-10 year. But that's going to open up a whole other Pandora's box full of worms.
Pandora's box. I just think it's like the Houston Rockets back when they were trying to go for a championship. Mm-hmm. There's not enough ball to go around, so we got to get rid of somebody, and they had to jettison some guys off the team, right? And unfortunately, I would hate to lose a talent like Alvin Kamara, period. I just don't want to lose the guy.
Same.
But you can't sign him, Ramczyk, and Lattimore, and not also include Demario Davis, right? Mm-hmm. You can't leave out Cam. May be looking for a new deal pretty soon. You can't leave out certain pieces. You can't leave out what you're going to do with the rookie, not the rookie, but Marcus Davenport, or you're going to call in some options there, or what? You see, all of these things it's going to be interesting how they handle it. And I know we're talking pieces right now, but these are really critical pieces that we are talking about. Yeah. Okay. All right. Malcolm Jenkins has gone on record now after Drew Brees, and he said, "It blows my mind the NFL is unwilling to follow the recommendations of their experts for a player safe and healthy." All right. Pretty much the same thing. All right. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, everybody's saying the same thing out there. Follow recommendations, follow recommendations, follow recommendations. So, all right. So anything else before we go on? Kevin Starr, buddy Kevin, he said, and the players have every right to speak out to protect themselves, their family members, as well as not wanting to become a statistic with this killer pandemic. Correct. All right, let's go up to Scooby-Doo It Too. Who that? What's going on? And we got RJD012. Moss and Owens were villains too. Now they're legends. just like MT will be. Yes. You know, I'm gonna say this, man, and people may call me out on this, but to play this game, to play any sport at a higher level, you have to be a little eccentric.
Oh yeah.
Right? And it's been years since Michael Jackson has passed away, right? But over those years, they say in a 10-year span since he has passed away, he still remained in the top 10 on the charts and still remained in the top 10 on most searchable celebrity in the world. One of the top 10 most celebrity over 10 years, and he's gone. He's still being searched on. Incredible, right?
That is incredible. That's amazing.
Yeah. So where am I going with this, Kyle? So the good thing for Bob and John and the rest of those guys, from me, I'm not as eccentric as they think I am. So, but sometimes you look at The Last Dance. You saw how eccentric Michael Jordan was. You know, sometimes you're borderline lunatic to be an outstanding player, an outstanding, and set yourself apart from everyone else, right? You're going to have those guys. You may not like their makeup, their behavior, or what they do, but those guys are where they are because not only of their mental state, but how they perform as well, right? And sometimes being able to put yourself in that frame of mind, you're not thinking like everyone else in this world. You're not that average person. You're thinking somewhere up here and where everybody's still here. Just my thought.
You're not trying to make friends. You're trying to win ball games. You're trying to be the greatest at what you are striving to be. And to do that, you don't need to be surrounded with friends. You need to be surrounded with people, players, teammates that are going to help you, that have the same sort of competitive drive and physical skill set that you do. I find, and I said it earlier today too, I said it a number of times, I have found nothing wrong with what players like Michael Thomas and Cam Jordan has always been the same way. A lot of times you have to look beyond. There is no ill will in what they are trying to say. Unlike the Moss and especially Terrell Owens comparison that we saw, a viewer post earlier, Michael Thomas and Cam Jordan are not doing anything in a divisive way to create issues within their locker room. Do they feel very strongly about their own playing abilities? Absolutely. But like you said, Kyle, look, and I'm not comparing myself to Michael Thomas or Cameron Jordan, but I was a terrific volleyball player, as was my doubles partner on the beach. There were people that didn't like us, and I'm not saying it was because of my obnoxious shorts, because we each had them. You can be, and I apologize if I offend anybody with this word. You come across as an arrogant ass sometimes. You don't necessarily want or are trying to make enemies, but my goal wasn't to make friends. Michael Thomas, his goal isn't to make friends. He's very opinionated, and he has the right to be so. And he is. I agree with the comment earlier. I think he's well on his way to legendary status. The man has already given us Hall of Fame numbers, and in my opinion, just a couple more years of even close to that kind of production, and you can punch his ticket to Canton. We are potentially talking about one of the greatest, and this is a stretch, only 4 years into a career, but we could be looking at one of the greatest wide receivers to ever play the game of football. I'm going to allow the man a little bit of an arrogant overflow.
Well, and I'm say I'm going to go a step further. So you mentioned Cam Jordan. You're looking at potentially putting him in Canton as well.
Yep.
If he continues on the trajectory he's on, right? You look at the career of Alvin Kamara, the trajectory that he could be on as well. We already know Drew Brees is there, right? I'm going to throw out a name also. I don't think he gets enough praise or accolades is Thomas Morstead.
Yeah.
You know, Thomas Morstead could potentially be on that trajectory if people in the national media really put the spotlight on what he has done in a consistent basis for over the past 11 seasons, right? Will Lutz could be on that trajectory as well, right? So we are looking at potential careers of some Hall of Fame players right here before our eyes, and we don't realize how great we have it with these talented individuals, you know? Yeah, and look, I've been a Saints fan for all of my 53 years, right? And I had no choice. My dad put the black and gold helmet on me, and that's what we watched on Sundays, you know? So, and that's where we went to Tulane Stadium. That's where we went to the Superdome. That's where we cheered and cried and everything else, right? But I have seen good talent come through this organization and good talent to leave. But I see these guys as we're being very fortunate to watch good talent play with good teams. And that's been the difference in years past, you know? One particular honor going to Earl Campbell as well as Ricky Williams. They're now going to have the field at the University of Texas to be named after those guys, you know, the two Heisman Trophy winners. It was kind of strange they did not include Vince Young in that honor as well.
Yeah.
You know, I think the family had some issues with Vince Young when he worked for UT and, you know, he had some troubles while he was working for UT. So I think that was what that was all about, some politics, but still he was the Heisman Trophy winner. I just don't get it. All right. Okay, Bob. So we talked about the running backs. Did we leave off anybody in the NFC South? We already know what we have with Murray and Kamara.
Right. Yeah, we got ourselves off on a little bit of an Alvin Kamara versus Christian McCaffrey a discussion.
My bad. Sorry about that.
No, it's hard not to when you talk about those two players. But we did talk about Atlanta and their question marks. I'm interested to see what Tampa Bay is going to be able to do at the running back position. Tom Brady, as we all know, is the new Buccaneers quarterback. And Brady has had a significant drop off in his play over the last couple of years. Still certainly a surefire Hall of Famer. Still not a guy that you want to give the ball to, with 2 minutes left in the game and you're only ahead by one score. But Brady has needed a lot of support in the last couple of years from the New England Patriots in the way of an accomplished running game and a stout offensive line. And he's gotten that. That's why the Patriots continue to be successful. Is he going to have that in Tampa Bay though? Now the offensive line is something that we've glossed over from time to time. When talking about Jameis Winston and what he was coming from in Tampa compared to what he's coming to in New Orleans. So Tampa's ability to protect Brady is certainly a question that we've raised in the past. But now we're talking running game. The Buccaneers were unable to support with Winston with any kind of running game over the last 2 or 3 years, and it showed. A one-dimensional attack, very turnover-prone. Are they going to be able to give Brady that same kind of support? Now, Peyton Barber is no longer with Tampa Bay, but they do have Ronald Jones coming back for his 3rd year. Ronald Jones, I really liked him coming out of USC. He's a really physical, athletic runner. He's not a great pass receiver, so he's going to have to show he can catch that check down from Brady. And he's been nicked up too. So will Ronald Jones be able to take on the role of a number one running back and give Tampa a 1,000-yard caliber rusher? I'm not sure. Jury's obviously still out. But the Buccaneers used a third-round pick on the young man from Vermont, Keyshawn Vaughn. He could be a steal. You click on college tape of him, and running back was not a position of priority for the Saints this offseason, so I didn't look at a lot of running backs when we did our draft previews. But in looking at some of the SEC defenders, this kid from Vanderbilt caught my eye, Keyshawn Vaughn. He's a really hard runner, and don't be surprised, folks, if he winds up taking over the job from Ronald Jones around midseason. Maybe soon. Yeah, he's an impressive back. Real physical, great speed in the open field, and he just has that natural vision. Where he could see a move 2 or 3 plays or 2 or 3 jukes before the defender. That's the kind of natural feel you like out of your running backs. That's the kind of natural feel that a player like Alvin Kamara or Christian McCaffrey has. I'm not comparing Vaughn to either one of those guys, but again, don't be surprised if Vaughn is the number one back for Tampa Bay by the time the 2020 regular season hits the home stretch.
Okay. Man, that's pretty impressive. I have to take a look at him a little bit closer. I did not notice that ability in him, but he got drafted, right? So, look, let's talk about the Saints. And I did pose this question to Deuce McAllister in the media call that we had with him a couple of weeks ago. And I did ask him about his thoughts on the running backs behind Kamara and Murray. So Deuce pretty much said he felt as though the team should be fine with the running backs that they have, those groups. Is some talented guys behind them. Of course, we have Ty Montgomery. Mm-hmm. We have Jones from USC, right? Mm-hmm. Not USC, from Notre Dame. Yeah. And we have Dwayne Washington as well. So what are your thoughts about those 3 guys?
I agree with what Deuce told you when you asked him about it, and it was a great question to ask him. And there's no more qualified person than Deuce McAllister to talk about your running backs.
Exactly.
Listen, assuming, knock on wood, assuming that we're going to get a healthy season from Alvin Kamara and Latavius Murray, there's not a lot of touches to be had. We know that Sean Payton likes to use his fullbacks, as much or more so than most coaches throughout the National Football League. And another discussion for another time. It'll be an interesting battle at fullback between Michael Burton and Ricky Ortiz. But Dwayne Washington is going to be tough to knock off of that number 3 running back perch. Number 1, he's just such a tremendous special teamer. He's one, and we know how important that is with this team. And 2, when Washington has gotten touches within the Saints offense, he's produced. Now it helps to have one of the best lines in professional football blocking for you blocking ahead of you. But Washington is a proven performer in that system. And without an off season for these any potential incomer, to make an impression on the coaches, it's going to be tough to get to pry Dwayne Washington out of that spot. I do love Tony Jones Jr. though, the undrafted free agent out of Notre Dame. So I hope that they can maybe sneak it. Maybe he can, beat out Washington again. He definitely has an uphill climb. If he can't, I do hope that the Saints can stash him on the practice squad, because he's the kind of back that Sean Payton has had success with before as late round draftees or undrafted collegiate talent. As far as Ty Montgomery, I think that Ty is going to make this team, but I think it's going to be more as a number 3, number 4 receiver role with some plays and plays designed for him out of the backfield. He's not going to necessarily be on your running back depth chart, more so in wide receiver. Unless Ty's a really versatile player. We have seen him lead the Packers in rushing, I think, 2 different years. But it's his receiving ability that's going to cause him to make this team. Having said that, yeah, we love Jones. Yeah, we know what Washington and Montgomery can do as running backs. But the Saints running game is going to be predicated on the versatile ability and explosiveness of Alvin Kamara, and hopefully more usage in year 2 in the Saints system from Latavius Murray.
Correct. I concur. I don't see anything wrong with what you said. The one thing I would add is that Jones is going to have a hell of a camp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To be able to beat out Washington. And everybody, the Saints re-signed. They re-signed because of their versatility. And that's been the common theme throughout the New Orleans Saints offseason. Now, I did have a chance to ask John Stinkham his ability about what his thoughts were on Eric McCoy, right? And he said he noticed that McCoy just kept improving every game. He was improving. And he noticed the improvement. And he said, it doesn't help not to have some veterans around you as well to help you improve. But he noticed how well that Eric McCoy was improving. So here's my question to you. If we're limited in the offseason with OTAs, no OTAs, we haven't had any mini camps as well, right? Mm-hmm. Does it make sense to move McCoy with full knowledge of the center role, or should they plug in the young man from Michigan, Ruiz, or should they move Ruiz to the guard and keep McCoy at the center? Your thoughts?
Well, and we're going to see McCoy and Ruiz each be given probably a large share, equal number of share of snaps at both that right guard and center spot to see how things shake out. On draft night and the subsequent days after the draft, after the Ruiz selection at number 1, my initial thought was, well, looking at Ruiz, he looks more like a natural center. More of a compact build. And McCoy's a bigger guy, a little bit more athletic than Ruiz, but we're splitting hairs here. They're both great athletes. So my initial thought was they're going to put Ruiz at center and move McCoy out to guard. But in recent weeks, given the points that you just said, if they do that, the Saints offensive line is now looking at 2 players in new positions. That's significant. McCoy, the Saints coaches raved about McCoy's intelligence from the time that they drafted him last year, just as they have with Ruiz this year. So, McCoy can definitely you would expect that McCoy could definitely handle the move over to right guard pretty quickly. And we know he did so with the center position, picking up the NFL nuances of the center position quickly last year. But you're looking at now filling 2 spots at a very, very important offensive line position. So listen, both of these kids are going to be starting somewhere, one at center, one at right guard. I'm a little bit more inclined to think now that I can see Ruiz starting the season out at the guard spot. And maybe they're leaning towards right out of the gate anyway. Hey, Cesar, we want you to concentrate on what we need you to do at the right guard position. We're only going to give you a little bit of center duties. We're going to sprinkle them in as you feel comfortable at guard. Just like a young quarterback, you don't want to throw that whole playbook down in front of that young man at one time. So while Ruiz learns the position of guard, and they'll experiment with McCoy at the guard spot, sprinkling in some of those duties there. That's how I'm coming around to the mental thinking of I could see McCoy again coming out of the gate at center with Ruiz at the right guard. What are your thoughts, though?
Yeah, it's a tough one, but if if you have a quarterback at 41 years old, you have stability right there in the center. You have a guy who knows how to call out the plays, call out the protection, right? I think you need to keep him at that. Just my that's how I would look at being very conservative here. This is a year, I believe, the teams that are being a little bit conservative, understanding how to utilize the depth and versatility of your players will be critical. And I think the Saints have already done a good job in building that, right? The one area that I am concerned about is the linebacker spot, but let's not, digress, right? So, yeah, I believe keep McCoy. I would see if I could see how the kid does the first week or two at guard. Then, if not, put him at center and McCoy going over to guard. But it would make sense because McCoy is his body will be better guard type of feel than Ruiz's, right? So we'll see. I know they've been having their team meetings and through video calls and everything else, and I think he probably has a good fundamental grasp of the playbook right now. But you know how that is, Bob. Is until you start playing and getting hit and building up a sweat, you really ain't getting it until you do it. So we'll see there. All right, let's move on, man. A couple of things came up with the New Orleans Saints. The media is not going to be allowed in initially. There are going to be 3 different tiers for the media, from national media, local media, and people of that nature. So we'll get more details and clarity there. I see you, Jerry. Hey, what's going on, Jerry? How you feel, buddy? All right. Who dat on the Sunday with Bob Rose. All right. And I think that's about it, really. We hadn't really had a lot of activity going on in the National Football League. Not much going on. The Saints had Jed Collins. He did a media call with us. We had Usama Young. He did one as well. That was a blast from the past. One I really liked was LaCharles Bentley. I did have a chance to ask him about his thoughts on his new offense. He has like an offensive line mentoring group, right? Agency, and it's specifically for O-linemen, from Pop Warner all the way up to NFL. And it's grown in popularity. So I did ask him about that staph infection and how going forward, how to handle that. They brought in guys to educate their people on COVID-19 and things to that nature. So he's doing some really productive stuff. We had that great interview the week before last with Kyle Turley. Kyle's now under fire from some people by saying that CBD can be able to cure COVID. So anyway, all right. Okay, so I like this, not to make friends and win ball games. All right. That should be a good title of an article there for you, Bob. So anyway, any last thoughts, comments, criticisms, Bobo?
No, I'm looking forward to football inching a little bit closer, keeping our fingers crossed that everybody is going to remain safe. But we're certainly going to have, as you know, Kyle, we're going to have a lot to cover in the upcoming weeks. So, look for our articles on, training camp battles, possible roster players, roster surprises, etc. I'm cooking up a few in my head myself. I know fans of the Bayou Blitz, both Kyle and I have been in touch with a handful of former Saints players. Some we've had on the show in the past that will be making repeat performances. Some Saints legends, I'll just come out and say it, have agreed to come on with us. We just got to iron out some scheduling details. So stay tuned for a number of exciting shows in the next month or so. Football is back. We hope, we think. So we're inching towards normalcy, or whatever passes for normalcy nowadays.
If you know it, let me know. So I think you'll be making millions, as Ali would say, millions and millions of dollars. If you know that, okay, let me know. Look, one of our good friends and followers on Facebook, Bonnie Call, go ahead and pray for her, guys. Keep her in your prayers. A couple other families out there, keep them in your prayers as well. What's going on? But most of all, the NFL players as well as their families. I know we are like parasites, sort of, because we feed off of their existence. But
we do.
The reality is we do want to see people healthy. We don't want to see people be in harm's way, and hopefully the National Football League as well as the NFLPA will be able to come out and nail out some sort of protocols that is agreeable for each side. Okay. All right. Don't forget that we could be able to be followed online at Saints News on Facebook, Instagram, as well as Twitter. And you can be able to follow Bob Rose on the World Wide Web. How, Bob?
Everywhere. I could be followed on Twitter at BobbyR2613. Look at that cute little name scrolling across the bottom of your screen right now. You can find me on Facebook under Bob Rose. And also pay attention to our Bayou Blitz Facebook page and Facebook group. We stream a lot of our activity first through there before we distribute through the other Facebook groups. And it's a really interactive group of terrific people and terrific Saints fans. Everybody has a voice, whether it's a question, comment, or inquiry. You will be met with support, just like one big happy family. And then obviously you can follow Kyle, myself, and our cast of really talented writers at si.com and the Saints News Network. So we thank you and love you guys for all the support you've given us up to this point. Just keep on helping us along, and go to si.com and click on the pretty little face of Kyle T. Mosley and the rapidly aging face of Bob Rose, and just click that follow button. And do us a favor and make our bosses think that you like us.
Please. All right. And guys, over at the Who Dat Domination New Orleans Saints Facebook group, thank you for inviting Bob and I to be able to stream live to your page. Thank you, DD Star. Also, thank you to Joel Smith of the New Orleans Saints Facebook group, which is the largest and oldest of the Facebook groups on the platform. Joel made us platinum members. Bob, you got your card?
I do. It's going to be my screensaver on my phone. Like I said, I want people to think that someone out there likes me. And Joel, you guys have been so supportive of us, both publicly and behind the scenes, of everything that we have done. And I know I've told you both before, but I love you both for it. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing for us.
Yeah, and also thank you goes out to Richie, Eric, and a couple other guys who are admins over at Jason, I think is another one, over at some of the Facebook groups that have really been supportive of us. Don't forget, guys, go to si.com/NFL/Saints or you could just type in saintsnews.net. It'll take you to the same place to be able to check out all the latest in the New Orleans Saints news in the Who Dat Nation. We want to continue to be the best in delivering the Saints news to you. And the only way we can do that is you keep on reading what we put out. So give us some feedback. Let us know what your thoughts are. Go on to our pages for the articles. Comment below and let us know what you thought about the article, or put your own spin on it, and maybe some things that Bob and myself and John, as well as Carla and Brendan, forgot to leave out. We are open to criticism. And don't forget to face mask yourself. Face mask will not come with a penalty here. Face mask yourself, stay safe, and stay alive. This is Kyle T. Mosley of the Saints News Network for the Bayou Blitz on Sports Illustrated with Bob Rose. What's going on, Bob? You good?
I'm good. You good?
You ready for the rest of your Sunday?
Got it off to a Bayou Blitz start. There's no stopping us now.
Okay, buddy. Look, tell Will, Lauren, I say hello, and Bella. You guys have a great one. Take care.
You too.
And who that, baby? Y'all take care too. Mask it up, mask it up, mask it up. Take care. Bye.